Good evening. It is August 14th, 2017, and I call this Speedway Town Council meeting to order. Again, I'll repeat, it's August 14th, 2017, 7 p.m., and I call this Town Council meeting to order. I want to make sure the microphone was working correctly. I'd like to introduce those members participating this evening. To my far right is Councilor Eileen Fisher.
Good evening.
Vice President of the Council, Jeff Matthews.
Good evening.
To my near left is David Lindsay, Councilor.
Good evening.
And Jason Delisle, also a Councilor.
Good evening.
And Jacob Blaisdell, our Town Manager.
Good evening.
And Monty Combs, our Clerk Treasurer.
Good evening.
The first item on the agenda is the pledge, and I would have Tim Gropp, our Economic Development Director, come up and lead us in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Tim. The first couple of items on the agenda are minutes, and we need to approve those. One is from the July 24th Town Council meeting. These have been distributed beforehand. Are there any changes or comments to those? We accept those as distributed and submitted. The second one is approval of a memorandum of a same date, July 24th, 2017 executive session. Any changes to that memorandum? Hearing none, we'll accept that as is. We're going to move item number 4, Citizen of the Month, to the second meeting of the month due to needing to reschedule that. And we'll move on to item 5, a request for road closure on Gilman for the Hops and Flip Flops Beer Festival on Saturday, August 19th. Connie Harris?
Yes. The Racemakers was here a couple weeks ago, and they requested the street closure for the run, so I'm really just here for the Craft Brew Festival. And we have met with the police. It's the same as we've done the last couple years, but we would close Gilman and Allison Way between 10th and Main Street, starting about 10:15, and then we'll reopen it at 6 p.m., and all those businesses along there will have access if need be. So,
Great.
Any questions?
Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the request for road closure on August 19th from 10:15 to 6 p.m.
Second.
We have a motion for closure of Gilman for the Hops and Flip Flops Beer Festival on the 19th of this month. Any comments or questions from the council? Any from the audience? All those in favor of approving this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries
Thank you.
5-0. Might mention that the 5K event that's supposed to happen that same day, I know Beverly Catter-Henry was looking for volunteers to not necessarily run, but to kind of be there and help mark the course and guide folks along the way and just be informative. So if you are interested in helping, show up somewhere around 10:15 or 11 o'clock, and she'll put you to work. Item 6 on the agenda is Ordinance 1295. Jacob, do you want to tell us about that, please?
Yeah, sure. This is an ordinance to prohibit smoking in the parks. The health and safety and well-being of this town is a priority of mine, if not the main priority of mine, as the town manager. And I know that's a priority that's shared by the council. So to this end, we're requesting, along with the support of the Parks Board, to pass this ordinance, which again would prohibit smoking tobacco in and around the parks areas. We do have some signs in the parks, as I think we're all aware, that kind of request smoking in certain areas, and some people observe those, and I'd say most people observe those, but some people don't. And so this puts an ordinance prohibiting that, and again, you know, to promote the safety and health of the community, particularly of the youth of our community, we would ask for passage of this ordinance, and this is a first reading.
Mr. President, I move that we approve Ordinance 1295 as presented to us for first reading.
Second.
We have a motion to approve 1295 has been presented by the town manager. Any comments or questions?
I have one question. Jacob, that it lists that you can't do this, but it doesn't list, like, if there's enforcement action that's taken or if there's a fine that occurs if someone that does this?
This falls under the the rules and regulations for the town playground and recreation areas. So this would just be added to the list of things you can't do, such as fireworks or riding ATVs in the parks or horses in the parks. So this would follow the same sort of rules and penalties for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, this is first reading. Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay, I'll go ahead and call for the vote on first reading. All those in favor of approving ordinance 1295 as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 5-0, and we'll hear second reading at the next council meeting. Next item is reports from department supervisors, economic development, Tim Gropp.
Good evening, Council. Tim Gropp, Economic Development Director for the town of Speedway. I think the first one we want to talk about is an exciting announcement coming up this Sunday, August 20th, from 1 to 5 p.m. will be the soft opening of the factory in the D1 Sports Facility out near 465 and Crawfordsville Road. We're really excited about this. The Teague family has invested significant dollars into the town of Speedway. The event on Sunday will actually be the main opening for the factory. So a lot of people don't realize that this is actually three businesses tucked into one facility. There will be a physical therapy sports medicine component, then the D1 Sports, which is a franchise that focuses on elite sports training, and then there's a field house called the Factory, which is the Teague family's basketball clinics, and they'll host different basketball clinics and training throughout the year as well. So this is really the Factory's grand opening and a soft opening for D1 Sports. There will be giveaways, there will be a DJ. D1 will conduct some free workouts throughout the day, so come prepared. Training demos and then tours of the facility. This will be followed up, and there will be other activities on Sunday. So we encourage all the community to join us out there. We really want to welcome them with open arms to the Speedway community and make sure we let them know, the Teague family know, that we really appreciate their investment in our town. So hopefully we'll be seeing some more press in the indie media as the week goes on, and we'll see everybody out there on Sunday. There will be a follow-up ribbon cutting on September 9th, which is the official grand opening of the D1 Sports component. So more will come on that, but this is the soft opening. There will be a lot of activities out there. There will also be some food and giveaways and opportunities to sign up for D1 Sports at a reduced rate for the first so many people. So,
From an economic development standpoint, Tim, kind of value will the building and that business bring? We want to celebrate their opening and help make them successful, but
it's a great win and an anchor for that development. And then, the Courtyard by Marriott going on next door, which will support that facility. They're anxious for that one to get built as quick as possible because all these athletes coming in from different areas to train and to participate in clinics and things like that will help that hotel. And the hotel, it'll be nice having the hotel right next door. As we add more restaurants and everything in that area, and we focus on the Crawfordsville Road entrance area, it's just going to create activity and buzz up on the west side of Speedway. So it's a huge activity. I think it was a $4 million investment, and the hotel is about a $12 million investment. So great anchors to this development that's taken a little time to get going, but it's turning out to be really nice. And if you've been to the strip center with Chipotle and Starbucks and Chicago Pizza, around noontime, you can't find a spot. You got to park in the overflow. So it's been doing well. And people, the community has really been supporting it. So we're excited about everything that's happening there, and we couldn't ask for better anchors in that development. So, a couple other updates. We had purchased a property, and the Speedway Redevelopment Commission has just completed paving of the lot next to Yoga Latte on Main Street. This will be public parking. We're waiting currently, we made some changes, so it was paved, and there was only one entrance and kind of an awkward way to get in and out of there. So I give some credit to our town manager, who said, seems like there's a lot of wasted space here, what else can we do? And challenged Wendell, our street commissioner, who he and his team came out and made some suggestions, and the SRC supported it to change the flow of that lot. And by doing that, we were able to add about 7 spots in that area, which is a pretty good amount for a lot that we already had in place. So we're waiting for Yogo Latte, who's putting a new roof on their facility, to complete that, and then that lot will be restriped. You'll actually enter that lot from Ford Street, close to Main. It'll be one-way, angled parking on both sides, and you'll exit through the alleyway, which was the original entrance. So a lot of credit and praise for Wendell and his team, who put some effort in there and continues to do so to find additional parking on Main Street for us at a very minimal cost. So we appreciate that, and that should be open really soon, actually. The Gilman Street dirt pile, you probably saw one of the partnerships was the Courtyard by Marriott needed to do some fill. They were able to use a big portion of that dirt, about 400 loads, so we were able to remove some of that pile. We're getting quotes currently and trying to figure out what to do with the rest of that pile. You're going to hopefully see that move sooner than later, clean that up so we can do some environmental testing. The SRC would like to move forward with that final parcel we have off of Main Street on Gilman there, and get some additional activity. So there's not a current plan in place, but we need to have our testing done and the lot clean. But there's been a lot of interest, so we want to make sure we're ready to go when the right deal happens, whether that's with surrounding business that's already there or a new business. There's a lot of interest in Speedway right now. We want to make sure, with the limited amount of land we have, that we're ready to move quickly when that opportunity comes up. So hopefully you'll see some additional movement on that Gilman parcel here in the next couple months. We are getting quotes right now for the environmental testing that'll be necessary. And then we have gotten additional interest up on High School Road, 2828 High School Road. So we will, as the SRC, will be putting out an RFP for that property to see what kind of interest we get back and what people are willing to do there. It is, we refer to it as the Rotes Engineering Building. It's 2828 High School Road, and has sat dilapidated for a little while, has some significant water damage in the interior. And so the interest we've gotten would keep the building and invest in it and bring it back up to standards, put it back on the tax rolls, and create some jobs. We're pretty excited about that.
Tim, can I ask you a question about that one?
Yeah.
I know it's more of just trying to understand the process. Have we not done an RFP for that property previously?
Yeah, I went back. We had several of the properties that the Redevelopment Commission owned had just been put out for RFPs, and once you set a time, you get any interest back. You can either accept one of those, reject it all, and then you're able to negotiate. That specific property, I don't think at this time the SRC knew what they were going to do with yet. In fact, we were looking at demoing the building because of its condition, but then we've received this interest, so we see an opportunity to put that back on the tax rolls and create some jobs. So unfortunately, when we look back, we had talked about it, but had never actually done an RFP on it. So there will be we'll put that out. There's 2 notices that are due 7 days apart, and then we'll be able to put a timeline on that for when we'll be able to negotiate with somebody for that purchase. So we're hoping for some good interest back. And the last thing I wanted to mention is, as per the EDA for the Wilshaw project, they have requested their final extension. We have received the proper documentation, so that is in its final 30 days. We'll be back. We have asked the developer, because it has dragged on so long, to invite the developer, Wilshaw, to come to the next council meeting and address the council and answer any questions that you might have. They'll be coming to the SRC meeting as well, just so you can hear it from the developer perspective instead of me each time. I think that's important. And as we're getting closer and there's more questions that are out there on the project, we want to make sure there's an opportunity to answer those and address any concerns that anyone might have. Everything is still moving forward. There's just some environmental issues and some other cost issues and things we're working through to make sure we get the best project possible for the town of Speedway. So we'll make sure at the end we get the best project that we could possibly have. That's all.
Great.
Thank you.
That's your report. Police Chief Jim Campbell.
Good evening. I know it seems like it's been a long time, but, we did have a Brickyard 400 since we've seen you last. I guess the best summary would be, it's probably the longest race we've ever had. Assistant Chief Upchurch and I went over the next morning just to make sure it was really over. The guy from the National Weather Service was probably the key to most of the day that we spent up on the 9th floor. I do want to say, as always, the local, state, federal agencies, that support us in doing that, couldn't do it without them. Considering everything, it went as well as could be expected. NASCAR's, their security folks are great to work with. IMS, obviously great support, but that could be the longest race we've ever had. Our Citizens Academy will be the 8th Citizens Academy, which is pretty hard to believe, but it'll start on August 30th. And, so far we've got probably about 20 folks. We always welcome members of the council or anyone that wants to come visit and see how that works. But, I think it's a compliment to the town. I think it's an opportunity for the people who live here or work here to get to know their police department. And I've said before, it's probably one of the best things we do. We're just about to wrap up an applicant process. We're down to about 6 that'll go through background, and, we'll take that process toward closer to the end of the year. Promotion process will start, I think it's about August 22nd for a written exam. I guess I'm proud to say that each of our sergeants are competing for the rank of lieutenant, which I think speaks highly about the competitiveness. We have about 10 of the patrolmen who are competing for the rank of sergeant. And thanks to the contractors that we're using, I think between interviews, assessment center, and, it'll be the fairest, most merit process that, that we're able to bring. So, obviously we're looking forward to it, and I think most of the members of the department are. To close, I guess it'd go without saying, we had a bad week, with Deputy Chief Waters and Lieutenant Allen. We sent our honor guard, about 5 motorcycles. Officers attended those funerals, and, it was just a bad week. So, thoughts and prayers to the families, and, I know we had support from council members, and, it's one of those things you hate to deal with. But, they were both done very well. So.
Chief, thanks for your report. Thanks to the men and women that serve. Fire Chief Bob Fishburne.
Good evening. We are also in our hiring process. We tested last Wednesday at the high school and are waiting for the results of those tests. We'll do our formal interviews here at the end of the month. Also at the end of the month, we are going to be hosting an above-ground storage tank class on August the 29th, 30th, and 31st. Actually, Marathon has engaged Williams Fire and Hazard Control out of Texas to lead those classes. And Chief Lynch has invited all the other Marion County departments to participate, because obviously if we have something at a place like Marathon, everybody's going to be involved, all the hazardous materials people. So that's the end of the month for us. I will second the fact that it was a very long race. I'm just glad that Chief Upchurch is on the other side of the pagoda, and Chief Campbell and I can have some peace and quiet, on a day that long. So, and our condolences to our brothers in blue. Really has been a tough month for them. So, like I always say, the police right now have an awfully tough job to do, and we all need to really keep them in our thoughts and prayers. So, that's really all I have. Thanks,
Chief. Street Department, Wendell Walters.
Good evening, council. got some information. What I handed out to the counselor, this is our 16th Lyndhurst project. We have a pre-construction meeting this Wednesday to get this up and going. You'll see some activity out already being worked on. This is utilities trying to get ahead of us. So we'll have this meeting Wednesday. Once we get the schedule and stuff, we'll post out to our web and Facebook and make sure everybody's knowledgeable of what's going on. This is supposed to be a 90-day project, all weather dependent, so hopefully we'll meet that schedule. And this is a total intersection improvement. It gives us turn lanes going east on 16th Street, north on Lyndhurst, giving us dedicated turn lanes. Overhead signals all be improved, ADA curb ramps will be improved. So worthwhile project. Hopefully we meet the 90 days and we're up and running. Any questions on that?
Wendell, at eastbound on 16th Street, as you approach Lyndhurst, or the turn lane, there's a pretty good-sized dip there from construction a number of years ago. Is that something that'll be
Yes,
resolved here?
we're going to try and do a repair there as we're working because the concrete has moved away from the asphalt, so we're going to try and do an improvement as we're there.
Great, thank you.
It might just be a milling and recap, but we'll see what we can get accomplished. Okay. Dave's smiling. It's a good evening.
Always when you're talking, Wendell.
Thank you, sir. Also, the street department out is doing all the sanitary cleaning. We started at the north end of town. This is a 3 to 4 month project, so they are out working daily, weather permitting on that also. So we'll get that accomplished this year, keep on schedule. Our mill and pave 2017 project has been completed. Now we are going into the punch list, so we'll get that to the contractor, work through those small issues, and be done with that mill and pave project for the year.
Can you repeat, if you would, please, where those are?
That would be 21st Street, Auburn, McRae, Shaw, and Allison. So that was our projects this year. That was also ADA improvements in that district, some curb repair, all the mill and asphalt put back down. So we will start working on our 2018 project. We also have applied for a grant with the state to do a 50-50 match on our programs like we did last year. Hopefully we will get awarded again. That'll give us extra dollars to work more footage into the town.
Did you notice how Councilor Matthews was smiling when you were talking?
Yes, he was. Dave was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Obviously, our cameraman was too.
Yeah, it is a great improvement, so we should get some life out of that new asphalt and stuff up there. So I hear the bridge at Auburn is
fantastic.
A great improvement, so that was a positive right there. So that project's get under wraps, and we'll get done with that one. Just some information, you'll see AT&T contractors out about town. They are doing an improvement to their fiber system. They've got different districts. They apply for a different permit weekly. We're going to try and keep everybody informed of what's going on. So they're at Cunningham, Crawfordsville right now, going underground. And then they go to the back lines behind the shopping plaza there. Then they'll come back out towards Crawfordsville Road, go underground, and then back into Marketplace and get them all connected there. Then their next phase will be Speedway Drive, 18th Street, in that area. Then the following week, they move down to Ford, Lyndhurst, and start working that district. And this is, like I said, they're improving their fiber, I think it's 5G, something like that. So that they're bringing those up to speed. So that kind of catches us up real quick on what's going on, and so 90 days, we'll have a new intersection.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary Armacost, Water Works Department.
Good evening. Everything's going well at the water plant. Both plants are operational. With the race, amazingly, we treated more water on the Saturday before the race, getting all the tanks filled, than we did actually on the Sunday of the race. We were sweating a little bit in the morning with it cold and wet, waiting for people to wake up and start using water. Our tanks were pretty full, and typically, first thing in the morning, it starts going down, and it wasn't going down and wasn't going down, but then finally people woke up. But made it through the race absolutely fine. We are currently draining Meadowwood tank. We're going to have an inspection done on it and then have the specifications made for getting it repainted, which should be within the next year. Any questions?
I think I know the answer to this question, but I imagine other people might have the same question. So when you say you're draining the tank because you're having the inspection, you're draining it for users, you just aren't refilling it? Is that correct?
We valve it off, so it's not getting filled, and then open a drain and
So we're not
empty
wasting
it.
water?
We are wasting water.
We are?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a one-in, one-out type of a tank, and that's the only way we can get it empty. If we left it open, it's continuously filling and emptying.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Thank you.
Will we notice any impact to water pressure?
No, you
With the
won't.
housing?
We're being on a flat area.
Oh, okay.
We have one pressure zone, so it shouldn't impact not impact.
It
Okay.
has to be done.
No,
To do the
understood,
inspection.
understood. Just
Yeah.
learning.
Yeah, and we'll have to
all
do
the
it
time.
again in about 2 years on 16th Street, but, so,
Great.
all right, thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Mary. And finally, Norm Berry, wastewater department.
Good evening. Usually, no news for me is good news, so I have no news. Everything's running fine after a rough May and June. Get everything back in order. So we continue to take care of business. At the end of the line, out of sight, out of mind.
You made us all smile, Norm.
That's it.
So many comments to be said
I know,
right now,
I
but
know.
we're just
Any
gonna-
questions?
No.
I know it probably sounds like I'm the only one not doing anything. Listen to these guys, but
Thank you, Norm.
Thanks, Norm.
You can always tell when there's not any pressure on Norm. He's got a little more sense of humor. It's all good. Number 8 on the agenda is the approval of claims, utility adjustments, and the clerk treasurer's report. Lonnie?
Thank you, Mr. President. Submitted to you and the rest of the council, of course, is the claims for this period of time, running from July the 22nd through August the 11th. As I frequently say, it's fairly normal, if you will, but if any questions, I'll be happy to answer, and we appreciate your approval.
Mr. President, I make a motion, we approve the claims as presented by our clerk treasurer.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Any comments or questions? Any from the audience? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the claims as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They're approved 5-0.
Thank you. Utility adjustments are the same period of time, July 22nd through August the 11th. And again, would appreciate your approval.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the utility adjustments as presented.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion for approval of the utility adjustments. Any comments or questions on those? Any from the audience? All those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those carry 5-0. Monty, anything else to report?
No, sir.
Great. Jacob Blaisdell, report from our town manager.
Great, thank you, Mr. President. So first up, I'm happy to say, getting very close to naming a new Director of Parks and Rec Programming. We've had over 60 people apply for the position, many of them very, very qualified. Working with the Parks Board, we've been able to narrow down a list, go through the interviews, and just finally concluded those rounds of interviews, the last rounds of interviews, and we'll hopefully be announcing the new director very soon. Also want to mention that we are currently exploring an expansion of our wastewater, our sewer system. There is a pocket within town in the Whitcomb area that currently does not have access to it, and it's the last pocket within the town that carries that distinction. So we're in the process of applying for a grant to help with the costs of doing that project. And just want residents in that area to know that in order to do that, we need to do what's called an income survey. And it'll be mailed out with my contact information as well as the consultant that we'll be working with to do that study. We have to work with the consultants because they need to certify that it's accurate and been done according to various standards. So look for that to happen. There won't be any private information asked, nothing that could identify a person or anything like that. But just want folks to be aware that that's coming up, and that's a project that we're taking a look at doing. Also want to mention, Wendell didn't bring it up, but we have completed one of the Hawk Crossing system projects on Cunningham. That is done. I think I mentioned that the system is going to go in on high school, but it's a little bit delayed. We had to order some special equipment to do that. So kudos to Wendell and his team. They've been working with both the schools as well as the city of Indianapolis because they're both Indianapolis roads. And so it's great to see one project up and completed, but again, another one's coming down the road. And I also want to mention that Sergeant Marantha Wilson and the Cable Commission got together and created a video demonstration of that. That's on our website. You can find it on YouTube. And they just did a great job with it. It's really, really well done. It explains both the perspective of the pedestrian and what you need to do as a pedestrian and how it looks to the drivers and how to react to the system as a driver. I think when we first announced that we were doing the Hawk system, we linked to, there's a YouTube video out there that I think Vancouver, the city of Vancouver did, just so that, we didn't have our own video, so hey, this is an explanation of what's going on. But I'm a little biased, but our video is definitely better. Like, it's way better than Vancouver's. Everyone out there that starts adding this Hawk system, I think is just going to link to our video and just use that instead of create their own. It's really, really well done. So if you haven't seen it, and especially if you have any questions about the system, highly recommend going out and taking a look at that. It's a great job. And again, kudos to the Cable Commission and Sergeant Marantha Wilson for the work on that. That was a great job. And last but not least, just wanted to mention that we are doing the Speedway Home Helpers program. It's a partnership with Indy Do Day, and that's going to happen on September 29th and the 30th. We are currently looking for projects for homes. The application is on our website, but there will also be printed copies here at Town Hall, so you can pick those up. So any light work, things you need done around the house, clean up, painting, things of that nature. Highly encourage you to reach out and apply and get the help around the house that might be needed. That's all I have.
Repeat what the name, we have a name for that. There's Indy Do Day, but we have a name for that, correct?
We call it the Speedway Home Helpers Program.
Right. And those that might submit projects, are there any suggestions or requirements related to, if they're able-bodied people, and they want help painting their house, is that necessarily a good project, or are we looking for folks, more so for folks that maybe have some challenges physically and can't get to some of those?
Absolutely, it's not just free labor. It's for folks that might have a disability or elderly or can't do it, potentially also can't afford to have it done. But there's no financial information needs to be filled out. But we do ask just for people that are disabled or don't have the ability to do that to apply.
And for those that maybe have it, to actually come forward and volunteer to help others.
Absolutely. That application's not out there, but you can certainly reach out to myself or Michelle Leidy, and we'll get you on the list, and you can join on one or either of those days.
Great. Anything else?
That's it.
Terrific. Thanks for your report. You've been on the job now about 4 months.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about things?
It's I told somebody the other day, it's good but not easy, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. Yeah.
Great.
Starting to settle in slowly, but when I feel that way, I get nervous because I feel like I'm going to get knocked off my game again. But something else will come up. But it's good.
Shouldn't have said that. We're
And
going to throw more
I
at
have
you
a
now.
great staff, as everybody knows. Great folks that work for this town. Very high caliber people. Make it a lot easier.
Great. Thanks for what you're doing. Let's move on to reports from council members. We'll start with Eileen.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Go to Jason. Anything to report this evening?
Nope, nothing for me.
David?
I'll break.
Please do.
I'll break
Please-
the
please
monotony.
break it, yeah.
Thanks to the town employees, especially our public safety, my full-time job, I can attest, the brickyard was a long day. I was also out there till 10:30 that night. A long day, but everyone arrived home safely, and it was a safe race, so that was important. And I also want to thank the police department. School started on the 2nd, and I noticed the increased patrols and the overseeing of the speed limits in the school zone that day. And Chief, if you could pass it along to your guys, great job. That's all I have.
Terrific. Thank you. And Jeff, do you have anything to report this evening?
I do not, Mr. President.
Okay. Last item is my report. I do have a few things. It's more of just some comments. I think our town is showing some pretty good indicators. When in the restaurant business, anybody that pays attention, if you go downtown or you're any other place in Indianapolis area, if you travel at all, restaurants come and some go, some stay long periods of time. The great news I think we're seeing is there's been a couple that maybe haven't been as successful as others, but there's always somebody right in line ready to jump in and do that, and that's a positive sign to me. When I look around the town and I hear police and fire and our parks and even our own council, when we worked to replace a previous town council or town manager or our economic development director, we had lots of folks that were applying. And 60 people applying for a parks director position, a programming position, is a great sign for our community. I don't know that we had that kind of number several years ago, and I think it talks about the trend that we have in our town. To me, that's exciting to be part of a community that's growing and improving, and I credit this council, I credit our staff, but I credit more than anybody the residents of the town who come forward and they volunteer for various committees and boards and commissions, and they give of themselves for free. Most of our boards, with the exception of just a couple, are not compensated boards or commissions, and they give of their time, and it's showing the passion that they have. It's moving on to others. We have another great sign. Besides our economic development, along Main Street and what we're seeing out by the interstate, which is terrific, that we have a $12 million hotel going in and a $4 million new business. That person's from Pike Township, and he could have easily chosen to go to the north side, but chose Speedway, is a great sign. But the other part of economic development is we're seeing homes bought for 20, 30, 50% more than what they were sold for just a couple of years ago. And people are, on top of that, are putting another 40 or 50% into their homes. And I think that is a real testimony to the confidence that people have. It's a great economy going on right now, and that'll change in a year or two. That's just the cycle of economic drivers, but our town is moving in the right direction, and I applaud everybody that's been involved in that and encourage people to keep a positive attitude. And if you can't find that house, ask a friend, because there's always a seller for the right amount of money, and we're seeing that actually is coming true. So just a comment I wanted to make, because I hear people talk negatively about our community and about things that we're doing, but I work beside 120 some employees and another 100+ volunteers in this community that do great things, that have for decades, and I'm just excited to be part of the town and for where we're going. So you're welcome to add some other comments to that. I see a lot of nodding of heads from the council. I'm not trying to be exclusive in those comments. We all hear and see the same things, but I thank everybody for what they do. Unless there's anything else from the audience or this council, it is, I can read that, I think the clock says 7:20 or 7:38, and I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.